Well, we are live. Hello, everybody. We have big news tonight. Okay, let me just get the lighting straight here. That's good. That's good. That one's pretty good. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing well. So, no joke and no joke. I emailed or I messaged out to the community. We do a live stream as I was walking the dog. I had not yet discovered that I made it big to Wikipedia. Wikipedia, people. Not just Wikipedia. I'm a right-wing YouTuber, apparently. Okay. Rachel V, how you doing? Yeah. Viva Frei, your wiki says you are right-wing. Do you consider that accurate? No. I consider the idea of right-wing and left-wing, barring self-identification, to be absolutely idiotic. Idiotic. And it's not just that. It's not about, we're going to get into this early. I would like to let people flood in before I vent, because I swear to you, it was 13 minutes ago. I just thought I was a YouTuber. I didn't realize now the world is going to see me as a right-wing YouTuber. How's everybody doing, first of all, before we get into this? Okay, I shaved, incidentally. I didn't shave it all off. I just took it down to the barest level because I want to get some sun. I want to get some exfoliation, but mostly sun. And I want to let it grow in patches where they were missing. So, okay. Yeah, I'm a right-wing YouTuber, apparently. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's a little sad and it's a little depressing. And if somebody who I was just having an email conversation with is watching, he or she will know exactly who I'm talking about, because we just had this conversation via email where I said, the internet has a way of, and I said this before, this was yesterday, that the internet has a way of just pigeonholing, categorizing, dichotomizing, just reducing a complex individual to either right or left in all of their political beliefs, in all of their philosophical beliefs, in all of their emotional beliefs and spiritual beliefs, right or left. And I literally said to this person, it seems that the internet has a tendency of being rather loose and fluffy with whom they categorize as either left or right, because someone can correct me if I'm wrong or tell me if they think I'm wrong. I don't think they often say left-wing YouTuber on any Wikipedia. I mean, I don't even think for the Young Turks. I have to double check. I don't even think for the Young Turks they qualify them as left-wing YouTubers. Incidentally, thank you for reminding me the color that I just saw. Shannon Davis. We have 2 new members. Members, for those of you who don't know, it's like a monthly thing on YouTube. They take 30% of the cut, I believe, but it's like $5 a month. And in as much as I can offer any perks to members on YouTube, I offer the same perks to Patreons and subscribers. I give sneak peeks of the videos so everybody can watch them and comment first. We have another one, JT Mekjian. Thank you very much. Welcome. It's amazing. But that is what YouTube members are. So I'm a YouTube right-wing YouTuber. It's preposterous. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious and preposterous, and it's a little bit discouraging because here's my theory, by the way. It's not about accurately describing the entity. It's about pigeonholing the entity and then getting the entity to behave according to the definitions that have been ascribed or the characterizations that have been imposed on the person. Oh, shoot. Uncivil Law is streaming. You are trying to upstage him. I didn't check. I don't check. I apologize, Uncivil, if that's the case. I told Uncivil I go by whatever schedule I can get going on my own. Thank you for letting me know, Nuvi. Now I'm going to have to apologize to Uncivil. Uncivil, I apologize to you now in advance. They do label them as left-wing right off. Okay, good. So I'm going to correct myself. I still think it's very, very bizarre that, barring anyone who self-identifies, it's bizarre to have someone identify you and define who you are. And I have a working or a sneaking suspicion, working theory that they do it, or it is done not to properly understand the entity, but to get the entity to behave according to the definition. And so now, and I bite my tongue and I weigh my words and I think 10 sentences in advance, and I want to make funny jokes about what it now means to be defined as a right-wing YouTuber, but I'm not going to do it, because then those sound bites become the double down definition, the double down defining of who that individual is. And humor doesn't necessarily translate well. It might translate well in person, viva voce, but transcribed afterwards doesn't sound so good. First of all, Fried Catch, thank you very much. But I saw Space Invader. I got that. Rush Limbaugh over here. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh. I mean, it's crazy. So first of all, it's kind of interesting and novel that I now have Wikipedia. It had to do with the Forbes article. There was an article in Forbes about me that my a neighbor, in quotes, but somebody I know who lives down the street, who's big in McGill and who's big in the community, and my wife ran into him and explained what I was doing, and he thought it was interesting and did a French article and an English article, one in Les Affaires, which is business in French, and another one in Forbes, which is kind of like their big Canadian magazines. That's when I suspect my name was coming up on Google more often than not. So this was not supposed to be the purpose of this vlog, or this live stream. We were going to talk about stuff, but we're going to talk about it now. Did you make Wikipedia at Viva Frei? It seems that I have made Wikipedia. You know what? Let's do this. Let's bring it up right now. We're going to get this out of the bag. 6 minutes, 40 seconds in. We've given everyone enough time to come into the stream, share the link, notify people. It was short notice, and it's always short notice, but that's the only way I can do things these days. Let's check this out. Now I've got to watch what I do with my hands. Someone's going to screenshot a hand gesture, and I'm going to be in big trouble. Okay, Wikipedia. This is it, people. This is where, how do I go to the screen so I can read it while we talk? I'm going to bring this down here. Wikipedia. No, where is it? David Freiheit, Wikipedia. Here we go. Yeah, so my real name is David Freiheit, if anybody didn't know that. Freiheit is German and Yiddish and East German languages for Germanic languages for freedom. Verbatim, frei is free, heit is the state of being. So Freiheit is the state of being free. If you didn't know this, Fahrenheit, I think, is the state of warmth, and Fahren is warmth, and height is the state of. Hence Fahrenheit to measure temperature. Westmount, Montreal, Quebec. Occupation, YouTuber. I'm still a lawyer. We can update that. Oh, I have 2 channels. This is good. Maybe I'll get some new subscribers to the Viva Random channel. We put up a very good video of my wife cooking poutine, which is the Quebec delicacy. Genre, vlog, life hacks, law. Okay, not bad. 176,000 subscribers. We're going to have to update that Wikipedia. And 52 million views. Network, newsflares. I take exception to this more than anything else. I don't have a network. I did not go with an MCN, or what were the other ones called? I did not go with an MCN. I have no network for the channel. I use Newsflare to license a lot of videos. I use Storyful to license a lot of videos. I have used other agencies to license other videos. Born May 23rd, 1979, accurate, professionally known as Viva Frei. That is a lofty way of describing what I do. Canadian right-wing YouTuber and vlogger. Okay, early life, youngest of 5 siblings. Okay, this is all just cut and paste from the internet, and it's all accurate. Career. Started in 2014, posting lip-syncing videos to various pop songs while running obstacle courses dressed in a full suit. Very good. How do we go from here to being pigeonholed as right-wing? He then started posting videos of stunts involving the use of a drone. I waxed my leg with a drone, grilled a steak with a drone, caught a fish with a drone. In 2006, Freiheit won a GoPro award for the use of his camera. I think that was 2018 that I won the GoPro award. I won the Shorty award in 2017. Whatever. This is all hilarious. Following the demonetization of some of Freiheit's vlogs due to his recitation of explicit quotes from court documents. I haven't read this yet. I'm sorry, guys. This is crazy. In 2019, Freiheit was invited by GoPro to be featured in the Panelist Consumer Electronics Show. That's true. That was when I won the GoPro award. Oh, 2016, I won a GoPro award for a squirrel video, but it was a $500 award type thing. Okay, I'm sorry. This is the crazy part right now. In 2019, Freiheit transitioned to law-related vlogs, good, in which he analyzed current issues from a law standpoint. Very nice. Following the demonetization of some of Frei's vlogs due to his recitation of explicit quotes from court documents. I take exception to that. I have never quoted explicit quotes from court documents. I have sometimes censored them, as I did in the video from yesterday, I believe, where, Pierce Morgan, where he referred to Trump as bat, S-H-I-T, crazy, and told him to shut the F up. I bleeped it out. I censored it. Is that considered exploitive? Just make sure my wife is not texting me here. He expressed his displeasure towards YouTube, calling the platform a game of attrition through frustration where you can only have accredited authoritative news talking about certain things. Yeah, I've expressed frustration or displeasure towards YouTube. I've also expressed gratitude to some extent in that it is a platform that allows people to do what I do, but they need to fix their stuff before they wreck their stuff. That's what I've said in a number of other vlogs, in my YouTube chicanery vlogs. All right, that's it. I'm going to bring back the screen here. So that's every fear hides a wish. I was always fearful of having a Wikipedia page. In a way, it hid the wish. Let's bring this out now. That's fun. Okay, what did I miss? What did I miss? I seem to have missed a bit. Let's see here. I want to try non-partisan. That would be how I would describe myself, because I've been forgiving on Trudeau. I've been praising Trudeau in some respects, and I've been unabashedly critiquing him where I believe that he deserves critique. It's a non-partisan thing is like an abstract, obscure concept to people who need to define someone as left or right, or conservative, liberal, whatever. It's like when you need to define things, you have trouble digesting something which is an abstract or sort of not a generic, but rather someone who is not a pigeonholable identity. I have to be careful as to what comments I bring up now. This is like with this is gonna ruin me. Jussie Smollett made me. I was going through my playlist of Jussie Smollett today. For anybody who doesn't know, I put up another Jussie Smollett video today, which was the dismissal of his malicious prosecution counterclaim. In watching, because I rewatched those vlogs before I put up the other one to make sure that my assessment, my own predictions was accurate. I fully appreciate how much I have learned in terms of American law from that whole saga, and it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing in looking back. I didn't know what a pre-trial diversion program was when I first started doing these vlogs, and it was about a year ago. Dedicated vlogs. I had to call my wife. Sorry, never mind. I was gonna make another joke, but I might get characterized as right-wing for making the joke. My sister's husband's father, so that would be my brother-in-law's father, which would be my whatever, who's a lawyer. And I had to call them and say, what's a pretrial diversion? Because I never even heard of the concept. And then I didn't even know then what I didn't even know that I don't know now in terms of knowing what I don't know to look up what I don't know. It's crazy. Okay, Wiki just says YouTuber now. Yes, I've made it. I've stepped up in the world already. I like YouTuber. I don't like right-wing YouTuber because I just got in. Can I swear? I just got in shit for critiquing Trump the other day. I mean, I swore. And I know that I have one of my daughter's 6-year-old friends who watches my live streams. T, if you're watching, I apologize. I shouldn't have sworn. I just got in poo-poo because I was criticizing Trump's use of the word sarcasm. I got criticized by the left for saying I was defending Trump, for saying that the media was going hog wild and creating drama where there was no drama over those comments he made during the press conference. I got in trouble for being too far left because I said I disagreed with Dan Crenshaw on a material issue that led to a nice discussion in the community tab. I got called. It's crazy. Here's an idea. Just deal with the ideas on a particularized, individualized, issue-by-issue basis without trying to pigeonhole the individual so that you can then assess all of their beliefs in light of what you've just pigeonholed them as. How about that? It's a novel idea. Okay, what do we got here? TCraft5604 says, have you seen what happened in Houston, Texas? The governor said his executive order supersedes a county executive order. Is this true? Love the cleanup. It's going to grow back. It's going to grow back. I feel naked. I haven't seen that. We're going to see a ton of crap happening right now because, like, even in it's an amazing thing in Canada. For anybody who doesn't know, our premier, François Legault, proving himself to be a leader in a time of need, is now saying Quebec is going to get back to going back to business. May 11th or mid-May, kids can go back to school. Mid-May, we're going to start opening stuff up. Anybody who's too scared or anybody who's too uncomfortable, you don't have to go back to school. It's going to be optional. You don't have to go back to work. We're going to work on the benefits and taking care of those who might be legitimately or illegitimately or illegitimate, I guess that's the word, who may not want to go back. You might be too scared. We'll work with you. This is not a question of playing backseat driver or Monday morning quarterback. It sort of sounds like, what I was thinking would be the most reasonable response from the beginning is you don't cripple everything. You don't cripple society. Holy crab apples, my mic has been there the entire time. You don't cripple society. Rather, you protect the most vulnerable and let the least vulnerable get to business. Legault is doing this, our premier, but Trudeau is the opposite way. And then you have the mayor of Montreal saying they're extending their emergency orders until May 1st, not until past when Legault said we're going to get back to business. But anybody who didn't think that this was going to lead to a jockeying for power among government officials has got to be a naive idealist or too young to be cynical, I guess. So, we're going to have the same dynamic here. We're going to have the same dynamic everywhere. I said it before. At first, it was a race to see who could close down the fastest and be the most prudent and the overprotective. Sooner than later, it's going to be the race to who can get their society and their province, their state, their country back on track the fastest, while protecting those who are always at risk and who will remain at risk and who need the protection, while letting those who are the least at risk get back to maintaining the very society that is required to protect those that need the protection. Okay, I hope that helps. Fretless67, great channel. Thank you very much. I love it. Whenever I see a number in a name, I just assume that's the year of birth. You do not look like you're 12 years older than me, but you might wear it better than me. If I miss any super chats, somebody's got to help me, because you'll know if you're new to this channel, I get very upset if I miss a super chat. I think I did. I'm sorry. Automata says, you might sometimes be considered right-wing based off who you are willing to publicly criticize, at least in some circles. I'll flip that around. I think I might be considered right-wing just because of who I'm willing to cover or who I'm willing to have a discussion with. You have Robert Barnes on, or I've talked with Mike Cernovich, and it doesn't matter. Anybody who saw my Mike Cernovich interview, I got shit for being too hard on Mike, for being too judgmental of Mike Cernovich, for spending an hour talking about his personal side, and from what people believed, me pressing him too hard to try to apologize for past indiscretions. I got in trouble for that. So I got in trouble. I got lectured. I got negative comments, just by virtue of the fact that I was going to have a live stream with Mike Cernovich. Then that's from one side. Then I get flack from the other side because I was too hard on Mike Cernovich. Everyone's like, get over this stuff. Don't push him on that anymore. It's irrelevant. You have Robert Barnes on. Robert Barnes, AJ's attorney, Covington Catholic Kids attorneys, outspoken Trump supporter on Twitter. You get pigeonholed because of who you're willing to have a discussion with. That is bull crap. It's bull plop. Bull plop. I missed a lot of super. Okay, someone's going to have to forgive me for missing the super chats. Joshua Cornelius, I still like to criticize you for the haircut. Look at this beard of Joshua Cornelius. It's a big, biblical, beautiful beard. I had to. There's reasons why I had to. We can discuss it one other day, but it'll grow back. I need to get some sunlight, and I was pulling on it. When it's short like this, I can't pull it as easily when I'm doing stuff. So it's a self-defense mechanism. Okay, what else do we got? There's too many comments to get to. We got Israel Shirk says, you appear disrobed equally, and we enjoy censor. Oh yeah, in my Arnold Schwarzenegger. So someone said that my Arnold Schwarzenegger quarantine parody might not have been demonetized because I used the word quarantine, but because I was smoking a pine cone in it. It's a freaking joke, because I didn't actually inhale the pine cone. I was lighting up a pine cone as though I was smoking it, and that might have been the source of the demonetization. I had never thought of that. And that can show you how when you get into a sort of a defensive mode where you suspect it's all political, you might just realize it might just also be absolutely idiotic. Now that it makes sense, because I know that a lot of any channel that talks about smoking or anything as an industry gets demonetized. I guess, whoever manually reviewed that couldn't distinguish between a joke and something that's not a joke. Colby Hamilton says, labels are great. You can easily identify who is out to see you flourish versus who you don't. Save your energy to encourage human flourishing. So that's another funny thing, by the way, Colby. First of all, thank you very much for the super chat. And thank you all, if I didn't thank you specifically. One of the comments on my last video, which was the Trump one, where I was complaining. I was remarking on the fact that, that video, the first one, the media madness, analyzing Trump's words in light of what I believe to be an irresponsible media response, and complaining about the fact that video was demonetized, despite not actually contravening the very provisions that were cited as to why it was demonetized. Someone said, "I hope your whole channel gets demonetized." And I realized, it's like, this is just the way people perceive things. And now that I guess it's been corrected, which is fantastic, but it's the risk. There's no nuance. Can you imagine reducing a human to black or white, left or right? It's irresponsible. Labels are great because we saw that. It's irresponsible and it's unnatural. That's the other thing. It's just unnatural. The only reason it's done is so that people can more easily just interpret everything you're saying through the filters that they have just imposed on you. Jim Sadler says, "Hello from your in-laws." I don't know if that's a typo and I'm actually have my in-laws watching, but Jim, thank you very much. And now I'm going to get these before they disappear. The John Beck says, "Constitution defaults authority to states. I think opening up should be pushed down to the counties, cities." By the way, the far left doesn't debate, just yells. I wouldn't even mind getting into a yelling match with somebody. I was talking about it with Eric Hunley podcast. Incidentally, to plug him again, he's doing a podcast live stream. It may not be live stream. He's doing a podcast with John McAfee on Thursday. So it's going to be published shortly thereafter. Eric Hunley on YouTube, Unstructured on podcast things. I was talking about this with Eric Hunley on Saturday. What was the comment again? It was debating. I think I would love to have a discussion with anybody. I just know who says yes and I know who doesn't respond. And it is what it is. And then it's like, it becomes these, what is the word I'm looking for? Not cosmos, but ecosystems. They become these ecosystems where, okay, Dave talks to Robert Barnes, Mike Cernovich, the amazing Lucas, Uncivil Law. He talks to Nate Brody, and everyone's going to look at Nate Brody and say, like, "Oh, if you guys don't know who these guys are, people I often do live streams with, where does Nate Brody fit into this? Is he the right leftist? Is he a leftist? Is he a right winger that hides as a leftist?" And then everyone, you have to assess everybody that you have discussions with in light of this false dichotomy they've imposed on you. Obligatory tithings for our holy lawyers shielding us from the fake news of the world. We're doing Fake News Friday. It's going to happen every Friday. And I had a good one from last Friday, but I don't know. I was going to save it for next Friday, but by next Friday, it's going to be totally old. So I'll just have to find something Thursday. Fake News Friday. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that was an original, a Viva Frei original. Joshua Cornelius says, "There are two political sides nowadays, the far left and everyone else." Maybe, but I just think there's a very vocal minority on social media, and then there is the silent, massive majority. And the thing is, I know these things. I like to think that I know these things because I talk with, I think I engage probably more than most YouTubers with the community. I like talking with people on the street. I literally like talking with anybody. I think I'm getting a good feel for it. There are very vocal minorities on both sides, but when it comes to social media and the platforms themselves, I mean, we cannot deny that the platforms themselves demonetize videos about mass media because harmful and dangerous acts. My vlog talking about Trump's press conference and the media response was demonetized because it was categorized as harmful and dangerous acts. So that says something. It's about tribalism now. I love trying to get these names. Nibs, NYBSFP. Not your business, silly fool player. It's all about tribalism now, not really issues, so labels don't mean what they used to. No, that's the other thing. I've had this discussion before. Throwing around terms so loosely and so willy-nilly, like calling Ben Shapiro the word. The words mean nothing. The words that should mean something cease to mean anything. Labels that had meaning no longer have meaning. And it's like, and it's I don't think people don't appreciate the damage it does to actual language and the damage it does to, I don't want to say labels, but to language. And when language stops to have meaning, when literally means literally and literally not literally, well, you don't need to be a linguist or Chomskyan linguist to know that is a broken system where you are breaking language and not using it. Hector Garcia. Okay, hold on. Oh, I fell behind here. NBSB. Okay, here. Sorry. I'm going to flood my words for a second. Ben D. Over. Love you, Viva, and really love your channel. Peace to you and your family. A beautiful family. Keep up the facts. They will win over feelings every time. Ken, thank you very much. Ken Dover. Some of the names I get, and thank you very much for the super chat. Everybody, if I thank you specifically or not, please forgive me, but thank you all. Foreign Particle says, you and I are the same age. What's your opinion on our generation, politically, socially, historically? I'm less interested in our generation. I think we're pretty reasonable. I'm just predicting the next generation is going to be more conservative than than their parents can anticipate. And I'm saying this based on, I'm saying that's my prediction. There is going to be a massive backlash for the environment that has been created in this world, which is it's irritating for adults. It's insufferable for the generation that has to live through it. Thank you very much. Foreign Particle. I like that. Okay, now let's see here. I just saw Hector Garcia, who also has his own channel, who gives accounting advice. You missed 2 of mine. Son of a beasting. Had to up the ante. Congrats on your Forbes wiki. Hope you hit 1 million subs. Looking forward to our next Canadian family trip. So Hector Garcia, stick your link in there so everybody knows. Hector Garcia does like Excel. I don't want to limit you, and I don't want to mischaracterize. Accounting advice, how to use Excel spreadsheets for accounting purposes, stuff that is extremely useful. I would say more boring than going to the dentist as far as I'm concerned, but going to the dentist is necessary for health. Hector Garcia's channel is necessary for financial health, and I watch it. I'm not an active commenter, and I'm not sure how much I absorb, but I do watch it from time to time. So check him out. Hector, good to see you. Next time you're here, and next time I'm in the States. Don't know when that's going to be. When are they going to open up the flipping borders? Hector, thank you very much. And sorry I missed your other chats. I'm doing my best. My wife is not texting me. She's maybe. Bart Silverstein says your unlaws came for a raid. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, and we got Biggles Metz says, I don't know what $10 US is in Canada, but I want to show support to my new favorite YouTuber. For a lawyer, you seem like a good dude. I think it's about $6.67 Canadian, which sooner than later is going to be enough to buy you a 3-acre lot in downtown Montreal. I'm joking. Forbid. But thank you very much, Biggles. Biggles Metz. Thank you very much. I'm not a bad dude. I have my flaws and I have my qualities. But thank you very much. Nick Schaeffler says, Illinois lockdown until end of May, says you can have max 2 people on a boat, even if everyone lives together. Time to pick your favorite kid. It is so, at the risk of sounding all right-wing, how can anybody predict? I can accept predictions going 2 weeks. I can accept that. Limitations 2 weeks, renew after 2 weeks, because that's pretty much as you could even reasonably be anticipated or expected to be able to accurately predict in a situation where everything is changing daily. So who is it? Virginia, Norfolk predicting not locking down until June? Or what was it? End of June? It's preposterous. It is not a reasonable response. 2 weeks, I can understand. 2 weeks reassess. I already don't like the fact that they are referring to it as weather predictions, because you plan activities based on the weather. You don't cripple national and global economies based on weather predictions. 2 weeks, reassess. But the problem is you set this expectation. You can't come back. You can't come back when you've said until the end of May and say, okay, well, now it's early May. We're good. Everyone feels safe to go back to work. You've traumatized people. And this is the crazy thing. People are traumatized. Even if you open up May 1st, people are traumatized. The funny thing is, and I had a discussion with somebody who actually read some studies, the OCD hyperneurotic people coming into this apparently are faring better because this is like, just an extension of the normal. I personally, whatever, it doesn't matter what I personally think. Who am I? Okay, but thank you very much, by the way, Nick. Tangy Town 81, can you ask Ben Shapiro a question for me? He teased, I don't know who Masab is, and never paid off. Can you ask him if he was plans of interviewing him? I don't know who these people are. I know who Ben Shapiro is. I don't know who Masab Hassan Youssef is, and I don't know what Ben Shapiro said to him. And full disclosure, I don't like the way Ben Shapiro talks about people sometimes. So I'm almost reluctant to tacitly endorse anything Ben Shapiro has said on a global basis. I have to know specifically what we're talking about, because I don't like the way Ben Shapiro, or a lot of other people, Steven Crowder, I read their tweets. I don't like their tweets sometimes because I don't think people have to act like that to make their points, but it's not my style. But I'm not them. So I don't know what this is specifically. So I don't want to tacitly endorse something that might come back to bite me in the behind. But Tanji, thank you very much. Let's see what here we got. Oh, Mamacita, buenas noches. Okay, we got D Wonderbar. I see that. Uncivil Law. I saw Uncivil Law. Oh gosh. Okay, so I'm falling behind here. Nick Schaefer. Okay, Nick Schaefer is going to be the next one because I can't find these. Illinois lockdown. Okay, so I saw that one. Then we got Tangi. Okay, so I'm not that far behind. My apologies. Derek Messina says we shouldn't demonize arguments. USA was founded on it. People need to stop being sensitive when the problem. What's the problem when debate fails, violence occurs? It's a problem. I mean, the idea that people would. It's not new. The idea that people would think shut down the channel, cut off their sponsors so that they no longer have a platform. They can no longer voice themselves. That's. I'm not even. It would have to be rather extreme for me to even seriously contemplate that. And by rather extreme, I mean like overt threats of violence. I don't care how offensive the ideas are. People should be allowed to express them, and people should be allowed to be exposed to them to come to their own conclusions as to why it is in fact untenable and offensive. I don't agree with it. It's not just not American. It's not Canadian. It's not how ideas are exchanged, and it's not how the truth is. It's not how a higher level of truth is arrived at. There. Joshua Cornelius, I told you Google Cyclones would demonetize your criticizing Trump because you spent the first half of the video kicking them in their metallic tames. Oh, mes boules de robot. It's funny though, because like the funny thing is, someone said to me after that video, Joshua, by the way, Joshua, thank you very much for the super chat. And thank you very much also for all of you for being here and listening to me rant. After that video, someone said, great, now do Trump. After the video of me blasting the media, they said, now do Trump's abusive talk. And I said, I already did when he said that stupid thing to the reporter. I mean, I can only think of one example offhand, but I know that I'm even-handed. And I said, I did. When he responded, knee-jerk reaction to that reporter, Vega. I forget what her first name is. Cindy Vega? Whatever. I said, he said something stupid. It was stupid. He knew it was stupid. Everybody knew it was stupid. It was just it was a misunderstanding, and a misunderstanding in terms of he was responding to something that he misheard. It was a stupid thing. I picked on it. I gave my opinion on it, but you can never be, when someone, it's not left or right, but when you have demonized the adversary, you can never be forgiving on that adversary because it's just never enough. It's when someone has demonized an adversary, there is no room for forgiveness. So you can never be anti that adversary enough. And any pro-adversary or any even-handed assessment of that adversary is deemed as pro and unduly supporting that adversary. And it's just an oversimplified way of viewing the world. Uncivil Law in the House. Blue wrench mark. Uncivil Law, YouTube lawyer. Check him out if you don't know who he is. He's an encyclopedia on Second Amendment issues. We had a great stream on that. My phone is buzzing off the hook. It's my brother. Okay. Talking to my parents. We got De Wonderbar says, I want to buy a shirt, none on Teespring. Teespring has proven to be unreliable. So I'm using represent.com and it's in the links and it's good. I just don't know. I got to get back to another comment, which someone said on the Trump video. I don't remember which side I was catching the flack for. They said, Viva doesn't have a horse in the race. He's just trying to sell his shirts. And I said, first of all, not having a horse in the race is an asset, not a liability. It is, as I love the expression, it's a feature, not a bug. Like when you have a horse in the race, it affects the way you view things. But then I didn't respond to the shirt comment. But yeah, I use represent. I think I might have sold one shirt in the last 4 months. It's not. I'm glad I get to rely on AdSense revenue and not T-shirt sales. Carl Schneider, nice to see you again. I love your avatar. I love that. It's beautiful. Cheapest payment I've ever made to a lawyer, total bargain. Well, the balance of the invoice is in the mail. You just need to email me your address. I'm joking. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Automata says, by the way, you got a positive shout out yesterday on Matt Christensen's stream. Awesome. I watched Matt Christensen. Does that make me right wing? I tend to, I like the way he expresses himself. It's thoughtful, it's thorough, it's thought out, and it's well researched. don't necessarily agree with it all the time, but it's thorough, and you could not write that off as ill thought out or superficial analysis. That's very cool, actually. I would love to do a collab. I'd love to just do a live stream with Matt, either on his channel or mine. Either way, I'm sure you'll be cataloged. I'm sure that will be cataloged in your heretical association as well. No, I don't think anything's going to get worse in quotes, other than I think I'm followed followed Jack Posobiec and Mike Cernovich and Robert Barnes on Twitter. I haven't had Jack Posobiec on a live stream, but I've done Robert Barnes, Mike Cernovich. I mean, those but it's a weird thing. Like when you get to know people beyond their Wikipedia descriptions, the world looks a little different. So it's a bizarre thing. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let me just see this here. Sorry, I'm okay. By the way, I got to show Matt. That's cool, Matt Christensen. I'm going to email him now, because if he knows my name, he'll respond to my email. The John Beck says, teased meaning hinted that person would be a guest. I never take anything. Teased meaning, okay, good, thank you. Just so long as I don't take anything too seriously, so I hope nobody thinks they've ever offended me. GB Kingdom says, I might need a lawyer one day. Consider this my retainer. Love your content. Keep it up, man. Thank you very much. But as my ethical obligations towards the bar, I have to confirm the absence of any mandate between you and I as relates to any legal advice or obligations going forward. If you do need legal advice, you can Google my name. You'll find me. GB, but thank you very much. And I like your avatar as well. I love avatars, and I love seeing what's going on. Leverett says, you haven't made it big until you're a question on Jeopardy. This famous YouTuber had the most viral video to come out of Quebec in 2014, involved a rodent carrying a camera. The question is who is Viva Frei? Would that be the right answer, or would it have to be who is David Freiheit? I'd have to go with Viva Frei on that one. Ralph Ross said, love the quotes at the end of the vids. I fear the extremes are willing to play unfair, and us reasonable folks in the middle have some restraint. Yeah, you are. I fear the same thing, because it's not like it's not left. It's not one side versus the other entirely. It just so happens on social media, it tends to be one side versus the other. The folks in the middle, as far, rough numbers, my assessment, they amount for 95% of the people out there. And so there's a lot more reasonable people out there than you would think there are if you spent all of your time on Twitter. It just so happens you go to Twitter and you get your 1 to 5% who are vocal and who represent 95% of the people on Twitter, because the other 95% don't revel in engaging in this bickering, in and out, day in, day out bickering on Twitter. I mean, that's what it is. If it's not for articles, it's for bickering. But the 95%, the middle, the reasonable folks in the middle are the vast majority. They are silent, but they are the vast majority as far as my assessment goes. And they're there, and they support people, and they also stand up for people when it comes time. So Ben, thank you very much, by the way. Okay, let's see what we got here. See, it's a good thing I don't come in with a like an outline, because I wouldn't be able to stick to it anyhow. Amber Phoenix Fire. I know I've seen this name before. I think it is better to close longer and err on the side of caution. History shows Philly opened fast in 1918, and second wave made it most flu deaths in the U.S. Okay, but this is, but nobody's going to disagree with that, because it's sort of like the truism that we all want to open at the optimal time. We don't want to open too early, or we don't want to open too late. This is where, like, it's like when it comes to parenting, this is where I say, like, it's gray zone material, because yeah, that's what we all want. The question is, when is too early? When is too late? And then the question is, we're talking different stats between 1918 and today. And we're also talking different consequences. We're also talking just a different era in that, the funny thing is, there's a good video on the YouTube, if it hasn't been taken down yet, comparing the H1N1 of 2008, when it was 2007, to this pandemic. And go watch it. My takeaway, and maybe it's my own bias and my own, blinders. My takeaway is that the major difference between this pandemic and the H1N1 is the advent of social media and the hysteria and panic that it has caused. But yeah, look, nobody wants to go to work too early or too late. The question is going to be, which one is, if you have to err on the side of one, which one is going to have the more devastating consequences? I think in the first 2 weeks of this, everyone was like, yeah, shut it down, because because now that everyone is 2 months into seeing, I'm not calling it a collapse because I'm not on that doom and gloom fear porn side of things. But now that everybody's sort of seeing the way it can go, now people are starting to realize that you might have to err on the side of opening up earlier and taking your chances, because the guarantees of the alternative could be more disastrous exponentially. But I'm not a doctor. I have no expertise in this. I just know it from what I've read and from what I assess on my own, and it's worth nothing. So don't put any weight on it, and don't quote me, and don't do anything that gets me in trouble. Okay, so we got that. El Rojo Grande, thank you very much. Nice to see you again. I mean my blank person. I want to get to some comments. Okay, Wiki, like Snopes, is propaganda. Well, I would just call it partisan, highly suspect. When you can have Snopes is not to be regarded as authoritative. Period. Neither, as far as I'm concerned, neither is PolitiFact. But then again, neither is. See, this is like I'm not trying to pick on the left. Neither is not Breitbart. There's another one that does the political fact checking. It's on the right. Neither. You have to read all of them, and you have to be able to read the words that are being fed to you, and you have to know what they're actually saying versus what they're trying to tell you to think. And it goes both ways. It's not one versus the other. It's very difficult to find something that is absolutely unbiased and without an agenda that is being discreetly imposed or suggested. First of all, Shapiro, the fastest mouth in the West. I think I could probably talk fast. It's not a question of how fast you talk. It's a question of how fast you can think. Oh. Lemon Party. Lemon Party. Viva Frei is not his real name. First of all, Lemon Party. I don't know where you got that name from, but for any... Oh, okay, never mind. Viva Frei is not my real name. David Freiheit is my real name. Viva. I picked the name because my last name is Freiheit, and I said I'm going to go with Frei. And then I don't even know where it came from. I wasn't even listening to Coldplay at the time, but yeah, it's a what's the word? The name when your character. I don't know what it is. It's my internet name. I like it though. Mossab Hussan Youssef is the Green Prince is the Green Prince. Ben Shapiro hinted that he would be a guest on his radio show. Never brought him on. Ask him if he will. Well, I'm going to look into that. It's interesting. 1918 flu hit healthy adults a lot harder. Well, and incidentally, so did H1N1. H1N1, 80% of the fatalities were under 60. You imagine if today, with today's social media, and the H1N1 numbers were much higher. I don't even want it because I don't want to be accused of anything. You have to look at this H1N1. It's a shocking comparison. But 80% of the fatalities in the H1N1 were under 60 years old. 80% of the fatalities were under 60 years old because apparently everyone over 60 had been exposed to a prior strain of this. I don't want to say back in 1918, but earlier on in life. But can you imagine if you had the numbers of H1N1 affecting 80% under 60 as opposed to with this pandemic, it's 85% over 67 or over 70 or something like that. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Unciv law. Okay, so there's a conversation that I am not that I'm not a part of, and I don't want to get into it right now. So let me see what we got. Okay, so then we got Spencer Harmon. Love your stuff. What are your thoughts on the real difference between people comes from personally and paradigm people prescribe? People come from personally and paradigm people prescribe to. Spencer Harmon, you look like someone who I follow or who I've seen on Twitter. Let me just see the real difference between people personally and the paradigm. First of all, it's an amazing thing when you know somebody and then you see the way they can be mischaracterized. It's eye-opening. When you only know someone by virtue of the way they have been mischaracterized, and then you get to know them, it's eye-opening. And I watched Hoaxed. Call me what you want. I didn't agree with the whole movie. There were certain portions that I thought were. There were certain portions that, as a lawyer, I would have asked why the analyst had gone from official numbers to projected numbers based on unofficial analysis, whatever. But there were certain portions which I found particularly poignant, which was, I forget her name, but the woman who did the Red Pill documentary, and Scott Adams. And he says, once you see how they do it to you, you then look at everybody who you've been told what to think about throughout your life, and you say, did they do it to them as well? And if they did, What now do I go back and retroactively or retrospectively think of these people whom I thought I knew what to think about because of the way the media portrayed them, but now I see the way the media portrayed me in an equally unfair fashion, and I have to assume it was equally unfair with other people who I were told was the devil. So that is the introspection or the reflection that you have to go through. I just prefer to get to know people, and I prefer to get to know concrete examples of things that I can rely on and hang my own hat on to justify my own opinion of them. And until that time, I tend to give them the benefit of the doubt, even if they say something horribly stupid. Who was it that said something stupid? I'm going to get to that in a second. Maggie Smith, 80 and up, humidity and UV light kills in seconds. This is something else I was thinking about. Without getting into the controversy, we know that UV light kills it. I was just waiting until the time. I'm wondering if there has to be a law on this, and I'm going to ask Robert Barnes, because I was going to go buy any company that manufactures UV lights, because I suspect sooner than later, every light in a Vegas casino is going to be a UV light. You still have to worry about your active carriers because UV light might be able to kill stuff off surfaces, but it will not kill stuff coming out of someone's mouth if they're coughing and sneezing. But yeah, I mean, I imagine UV light sales are going to go through the roof. We have a few in the kitchen, not for this purpose, just because we're growing stuff in the kitchen. Real Politics might have been the one, actually. It was not The Hill. Anyhow, so that was it. But it's no, you just everything has to be read with analysis and with thorough analysis and critiquing it and taking for granted that it's not the truth or not the written in stone truth. Wait, I'm not talking to Ben Shapiro. We're talking about Ben Shapiro on Civil, but not to Ben Shapiro yet. It's funny. I think the cool thing is I don't think I'm that interesting to be on Joe Rogan. I don't think I am controversial enough to be entertaining enough to draw people in. But it is an interesting perspective that I'm getting on American politics from the Canadian dude who knew nothing about American law or politics. Very little, at the very least, until 2016. And what I think I now know, thanks to people like you on Civil, and thanks to people like Nate Brody and Robert Barnes and Leonard French and Ian Corzine, all YouTube lawyers, I've learned so much. The next stage in my professional career might be a reality show where I go to the States and try to pass the bar for a year, just for fun. Because I don't think that's going to happen. Sorry, that was not... Okay, well, let me see what that was. Okay. Now, what I meant to bring up was this. Volcaneer says SCU and NYU studies are both saying the percentage of undocumented COVID cases are vast and drop the death rate closer to 0.7 instead of 2 to 3. I was reading it was being dropped to like closer to 0.2. But yeah, and this is where like I can have my theories. I can be right 90% of the time. Oh, I'm so glad I remembered this. I can be right 90% of the time, but I'm not an authority and I have no business relying on my own opinion. But I still have it and I still know what I believe. I just know that I cannot purport to be an authority, and I can't relay my opinion as though it's worth anything more than the opinion of a lawyer who thinks he's a doctor. The funny thing is I was just sitting here thinking, the other day I tweeted out, the paradigm of freedom under this pandemic has shifted to my rights end where your rights begin, to my rights end where your fear begins. And I said, that's not a sustainable paradigm for freedom, because it was actually Scott Adams who tweeted this, an example of where I vehemently disagree with him. And someone said, I want to get back to work, freedom. And then Scott Adams wrote, well, so long as I get to self-defend against you putting my family at risk. And then the person said, well, you don't get to touch me because you're scared that I might get you sick. It's no different than with anything else. It's not for the my Sharon Osiris that you would get to self-defend against me versus, the flu or herpes or, whatever. And it was one of the examples where I thought that was a little bit of a skewed perspective. And I hope I'm not mischaracterizing what Scott Adams was saying. And the other thing is, I never know if tweets are sarcastic anymore. I cannot tell if tweets are sarcastic. And Cernovich retweets these people. Well, I read these tweets like, what the? And then I don't understand that they're actually, it's so subtle on the verge of sarcasm versus sincerity that you don't know. And then I read through the comments and then like everyone's like, oh, people responding, not realizing the person was being sarcastic. So it's very difficult to read sarcasm on Twitter. So I always give people the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. But it used to be freedom, my rights end where your rights begin, and now it's my rights end where your fear begins. I had another one today. The paradigm has shifted from, it used to be being right made you an authority, and now we're living in an era where being the authority makes you right. And I don't know how many times the authorities can be wrong before I get to not listen to them as authorities. Like, I'm not saying to listen to myself. I'm just saying, if you have been systematically wrong at every step of the way of this, revising, at what point do I get to stop listening to you? At what point do you cease being an authority because you just haven't been right? And at what point do the people who have been right, who may not have degrees or who may not have whatever, at what point do the people who have been right become the authority? And it seems like it's a shift in the paradigm, and not for the better. Typically you become an expert because you can accurately predict things, or you can make educated guesses that, on a statistically relevant basis turn out to be true. Now it's the authorities tell you what the case is, and even if it's wrong, they still remain authorities, and it doesn't make sense to me. Alex 505 says, testing and social distancing does not cure. We have to manage our opening. Herd immunity or vaccine only will, maybe. And this is what they're doing in Sweden. And first of all, thank you very much, Alex 505. This is what they're... Am I talking too fast, by the way, guys? This is what they're doing in Sweden. And this is a discussion that I've been having with another friend of mine. All private, because I don't believe these are discussions that should be responsibly had publicly. And I'm just following Sweden. And I'm not just following Sweden today. I'm following Sweden from a month ago. And a month ago, Sweden bracing for massive spikes in fatalities because they're not locking down. 2 weeks later, has Sweden got it right? A week later, Sweden expects to have herd immunity by mid-May. A week later there, Sweden's bracing for the second wave. They were so right on the first wave that they're already now predicting the second wave. And the other thing is, like, it's sort of a sunk cost perspective, emotionally, psychologically, financially, where the countries that have locked down and crippled themselves, seeing another country that didn't cripple itself, not doing better, or at the very least not doing worse. But you have to justify your own decisions to yourself and your own losses to yourself so that you can make sense of them, so that you can digest them, so that you can live with them. So you say, oh, maybe they're going to get worse. Or, maybe there's another reason why it wasn't that bad there. Maybe they're more hygienic. Maybe they have better genes, whatever. But it's crazy. I mean, you look at what's happening in Sweden. They're not doing exponentially worse than other countries. They're doing better than Italy, Spain, and Britain. And then the flip argument is going to be, well, how are they doing compared to Finland and Norway? I don't know. But that's called the moving goalpost of the argument. If they were able to do better than the European countries that got ravaged health-wise and economically, if they were able to at least not get ravaged economically and not get ravaged health-wise, I don't care if you can compare them to someone who's doing better than them. That was never the argument. Real Bambuga in the house. UVA lights are typical black lights. UVB lights are tanning greenhouse lights. UVC are germicidal. They kill cells, including ours. Yeah, that's why I suspect you could not have these types of lights anywhere that would be for, like, the public. We have about our pumpkin plants. We're growing a giant pumpkin this year. Hopefully we get to celebrate Halloween this year. I feel that when I get called right wing on YouTuber, I freaked out before this pandemic. I got upset when they canceled Halloween because of the weather last year. I was so far ahead of our time. Real Bambuga, thank you very much. I finished Wild Wild Country. It was very interesting. Real Bambuga, I promised him I would watch it. I watched it. I think, my humble opinion, it was a little longer than it should have been. The music was beautiful. I liked the lawyer character. And it was great. But I think it could have been half the length. The music was just glorious, and I have to go. The cinematography was just beautiful. So, by the way, thank you for the recommendation, and thank you for what was the word, bribing me to watch it. It was great. What else do we got? Okay, El Rojo Grande, no comment. If you meant to put a comment, please let me know what the comment was, because I feel guilty when people accidentally make a super chat. They intended to put a comment in, because I've done it a few times on other people's channels. And then I put the super chat and then I don't get the comment in on the bottom. So if that is what happened, El Rojo, let me know. Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm skipping now. Oh, okay. I've fallen way behind. I'm apologizing to everybody. Kitty's scripter killer. The problem: deinstitutionalization of the U.S. after 1968. Now we are paying for it. Half the country off meds. Half have access to weapons and can vote. Don't know what the discussion was, but let me see here. Oh, you have made me a very... Oh, I know what that is. I know what the full thing is there. Thank you very much, by the way, Kitty. In any event, I can't comment on it. I'm not sure about I'm Canadian and I was born in 79, so that's wrong country for me and a decade too early. The John Beck: growing distrust may lead to a greater free will and exercise in turning away from government for all solutions. I hope. I mean, that better. This is what's driving me nuts in all of this. We better be learning the right lessons from all of this. I did not read Korematsu, the decision of the Japanese internment in World War II, but I read the summary. If we don't learn from what we're doing now, and if the right precedents do not come out of the courts as a result of these lawsuits, and if people think that the government can come in, barring the most cataclysmic, calamitous, catastrophic, I can't think of another C, set of circumstances to lock you in your house, prevent people from celebrating, going to church, prevent people from paddleboarding in open ocean, prevent people, parents from playing t-ball with their kids. If we don't set the right precedents as a result of this, we've gone the wrong way. Not to get political, it's got to be a massive decoupling from foreign countries for dependence on medications, essential supplies, food. Massive. It's got to be immediate. And anybody not talking about that at the same time is not talking about the right subject. But flip side, anybody who doesn't realize that your freaking governor tells you that you can't buy seeds because they're non-essential, and this may be a disputed fact because apparently not Jared Leto, Steve Leto, another YouTube lawyer, went out and got seeds apparently, but I know what I read in the papers. It wasn't seeds per se, it was non-essential items and seeds. I don't know what kind of seeds either. I don't know if it was food seeds or grass seeds. But when you start having that type of government overreach, anybody who doesn't reflexively push back, you are asking for trouble. If that's, you're asking for trouble when. Oh, thank goodness! It reminded me. I may do a vlog on this yet. Jonathan Turley, the expert, the constitutional expert who was testifying for the GOP during the impeachment. I like him. He seems like a genuinely good person. He seems like a genuinely thoughtful, insightful person, and I happen to have agreed with him, his position put forth during the impeachment. Oh, if anybody doesn't follow me on Twitter, it's not special, but it's at the Viva Frei. At the Viva Frei. This morning, he put out an article saying that the pastor who is defying house arrest to go hold church services is setting a dangerous precedent. He can legitimately be arrested because the right to practice, the right of association and freedom of religion under the First Amendment doesn't include the modalities. And so, they had other means of celebrating and exercising their religion, but, grocery shopping typically has to be done in person. To which I tweeted back, the right to eat doesn't include the right to pick your own food. Following that rationale, the right to eat doesn't include the right to pick your food. The government can ship you food to your front door, and you don't have the right to go to the grocery store anymore. That's verbalizing it and visualizing it that way, you begin to realize it's to say that Christians or any religion does not have the right to celebrate their religion. They don't have the right to the fundamental, inalienable, but there are no inalienable rights. The fundamental right to freedom of religion because of a pandemic. You have no rights left. And so if the idea is, you can still practice your religion. Well, yeah, you can still eat. And the government's going to buy your food for you and ship it to your door. Yeah, you still have freedom of speech, like I said in my tweet, from your closet. And then I said, to end my tweet, with freedom like that, who needs tyranny? It's, the risks, that the imminence of to deprive people of their constitutional, most fundamental, most inalienable rights, to deprive them of that, it doesn't have to be, it requires something more than a vague risk. It requires something more than an undefined risk. And it requires something more than an unproven risk. And so it's one thing to say, okay, in court, we've shown the statistics, we've shown the risk, we've shown the mortality rates, we've proven it to justify it. That's what it requires. But just simply say, there's a risk. We don't even know what it is because it keeps changing every 2 weeks. And therefore, we're not eliminating your freedom of religion. We're just telling you how you can and can't do it. Well, visualize it in terms of someone telling you what you can and cannot eat, or where you can and cannot talk, and say, "Oh, well, I'm not preventing your freedom of speech. Just do it from your closet where nobody can hear you." That's not what freedoms mean. And please play us a song. Uncivil Law, by the way, can talk about this a little more as well. He knows more about the American Constitution than I do. But yeah, we have a constitution in Canada. We have the exact same rights. They're not called amendments. They're called provisions. We have a constitution. The second the government comes down and say, you have no rights because we have deemed the threat level to be sufficiently high to deprive you of all of your fundamental civil rights, you better have a damn good imminent bomb coming out of the sky risk, not prospective risk, not undefined risk, mortality rates unknown, communicability unknown, changing every 2 weeks. Rant over. Let's see this. We got Michael Amundsen says, how much to get you to play the guitar? That's an acoustic bass, but no, these hands can't. I can only play piano because it took me 10 years to learn how. These fingers were not meant for guitar. But maybe look, we got another 2 weeks at the very least of lockdown, so maybe I can learn a song. Charlie Harris says, being licensed in the U.S. could help you in many ways. Go for it. It would make for some great reality. I mean, it would make for a great content for like a weekly episode, learning the frickin' bar. I would have to pick the easiest state. Maybe I'd go to Louisiana, not because it's the easiest, because it's civil law, and that's what I do. You know, civil law in Quebec. So maybe I could do it. Now, I did see mandatory carry, who I wanted. Furby Slayer, big box stores forced to close section of seats. The internet is what it is. I have no firsthand confirmation of this. I appreciate the anecdotal information. I can neither confirm nor deny the accuracy of this information. I have read it in the newspaper. Someone asked me, okay, we'll get to this. Actually, it's coming up soon here. But that, yeah, enraging. Mandatory carry at work, but keep fighting. I'll watch after. Mandatory carry. Thank you very much. See you soon. Someone said to me, it was, that's right. So in the vlog where I was talking about, it was the Donald Trump where I put up the screenshot and I said, there was a black screen. I said, there's a story about the fish tank cleaning people in Arizona that I can't get into, because a lot of people are messaging me saying there's more to that story than's being reported. Steven Crowder did something on it, and I watched what Steven Crowder did. And I said, look, until I don't break the news on my channel, I just talk about the legal side of things that are public knowledge. And by public knowledge, I mean court proceedings that I can get that are public, or articles that I am not breaking. So the news of which I'm not breaking, because I'm not interested in breaking news. I'm not interested in a number of things. So I said, until I read in a credible, and I say credible in the sense of not actual legitimate credible, but rather mainstream, where I will not get blamed for repeating it. I'm not repeating that story, but anybody can watch Steven Crowder. It's interesting, but not information that I'm going to repeat myself and expose myself to defamation, libel, slander, whatever. If I'm reading an article that is posted in Fox News, I consider myself to have my A covered, my CYA. Issue is incentives. There is no negative consequences of being wrong while being blamed for any deaths that occur. Now, 100%. This is the ongoing conversation I'm having with my friend. It's like, all right, if the doomsday scenarios never come, the doomsday on the prediction model end, forget aside, the doomsday that happens when you implement these policies for an extended period of time. Okay, good. It didn't happen because of what we did. If it does happen, okay, well, we did our best. That's what you call a disingenuous win-win situation. Whereas it didn't happen. Sure, there's 26 million people out of work in the States. That's more than the population of Australia. Out of work now. Forget about all the consequences of that's going to have. Stress, heart attack, cancers, disease later on. Forget that. Forget about all the people who are not going for their elective surgery. And elective means non-essential. It doesn't mean not necessary. Forget about the chemo patients who are too scared to go into hospitals now for whatever the reason, or the resources are not set up that they can do it in a manner that they feel safe. Forget about all that. Forget about everybody else who's going to, there's a cost benefit. Forget everybody who's going to perish as a result of the actions taken. Well, we did it. We had to do it. And it doesn't matter what the consequences were because we avoided the doom and gloom that might never have ever come to be if we're looking at Sweden, if we're looking at the Princess Vessel, where there was full exposure to everyone on board for an extended period of time. And that in theory could have been a learning experience. Okay. I hear my wife coming downstairs. No, she's not. Okay, good. We're good. Not that she would not let me do this. I just heard foot stomping and I thought I might have been in trouble, but I didn't do anything wrong recently that I know. Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm just wondering whatever happened to personal responsibility. I don't wish to get anyone sick, but I'm not sick. No one I know is sick. No, should be on lockdown. And how about if somebody's scared of getting sick, they take care of themselves? And this is what I've been saying from the beginning. It was never a question of undermining the lethalness or the severity of the illness. The only question is, who are the most vulnerable? In Quebec, we've had like 1,500 deaths. 50%, I believe, are from old person's homes because there's outbreaks in old person's homes because they're not getting the required care that they need, because they're short on staff because people aren't working, and nobody's going in because families not allowed to go in to take care of people. So you don't lock down everybody. You protect the most vulnerable. And if someone is scared, you protect yourself. And so long as nobody's kicking down your door and sneezing on you, you can protect yourself and take the measures you think are appropriate. If it's having family is a blessing. My parents are old and, they're in the demographic that is susceptible to the consequences of this. They can lock down and we can, I can bring them food. We've been quarantined. We've been locked down for 6 weeks. I know I haven't got anything. There's ways to do it where you protect the vulnerable and you alleviate the burden on those who are not the most vulnerable. Let me see what join the Texas bar gives you an uncivil reason to meet up in Texas. I could do that. There's good fishing in Texas. I have other things to do in Texas I can easily think of, and that uncivil can show me around. Thank you very much, by the way. Tony, yes, I know who you are. Okay. Real Bambuga. This was one of El Rojo Grande's message. Sorry, and I missed it. El Rojo, I'm sorry. This was one of El Rojo Grande's messages. Do you know what photoluminescence therapy is? It's literally intravenous UV light used to kill viruses. So I've heard about this. I'm not getting into it because it's beyond my pay grade. And there's a lot of people making this argument to justify Trump's remarks. The problem is, just from a legal, analytical perspective, you can't raise both arguments that it wasn't a big, what he said wasn't a big deal, and the media blew it out of proportion versus it was accurate. Because I think it would be a very difficult. First of all, El Rojo, sorry I missed it, and thank you very much. I think it would be a difficult argument to say that you can't suck and blow at the same time. I think the comments were relatively innocuous, amplified and misrepresented by the media deliberately. And I think his excuse, sarcasm, I genuinely don't think he meant sarcasm. I don't think he used that word properly because there was nothing sarcastic by the literal definition in his tone or in what was said. I think he definitely meant hypothetical, explorative, or, casual, I think he meant. So you can't have all of these arguments at the same time. So you have to, unfortunately, pick one that you think is the strongest one. But yeah, there's first of all, for anyone who has lived directly or indirectly through someone going through chemotherapy, you know what the treatment is. You know what they're injecting into their bodies. You know what it is. It kills the good and it kills it kills the bad and it kills the good. But look, at the end of the day, I've picked my interpretation as to how I saw that event. I know that there's these things, these treatments for certain things, not necessarily for this, but for other things. But then it becomes sort of like a much more difficult line to walk in terms of a coherent defense or a coherent position, because you can't, at least as far as I'm concerned, you can't argue that it was not a serious remark, but also a legitimate treatment at the same time. You can't, in my humble opinion, which is humble and almost irrelevant. When are you going to leave Trudeau's hellscape and move to a semi-free USA? You can move to New Hampshire, rename your channel Viva Frei ou Mourir. So that was the funny thing, by the way. My original website was Viva Frei, live free or die. And then I saw that's just a ripoff of the New Hampshire license plate. So I went with just Viva Frei and I took out the live free or die. I also thought it had a negative connotation. Just don't need to talk about death on YouTube. Ou mourir, you spelled it right. Very nice. I like Canada. I think I would have to run for prime minister first and try to right the ship, because it is my ship. The U.S., I have grown a tremendous amount of admiration for the experiment, and now I understand what it means when people say the experiment that was the U.S. Tremendous amount of admiration for it, but I love Canada, and I would sooner try to fix what I believe to be wrong in Canada before leaving to set my roots somewhere else. Plus, my parents live here. I'm not leaving my parents. Okay. Rondo E. You missed a super chat from El Rojo Grande. Any thoughts on photoluminescent therapy? Okay, I got it. El Rojo, sorry about that. And by the way, Rondo, thank you very much. This ploy of missing super chats to get more super chats to bring the super chats is working perfectly. I apologize. I'm really sorry because I have not yet figured out a way to have the super chats come up in a section where I can just address all of them. But then I still, even when they pass, I can't bring them up like this on StreamYard. So I do my best and I do apologize. And I don't want to get into the world that I've seen on other channels doing where I only respond to super chats of $20 or more. I understand the idea, but I find that not something that I would feel comfortable ever implementing by way of policy. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, hold on. Okay, Hannity just sued the New York Times. Thoughts? I have none, but I'm sure as hell going to read it because I guarantee you it's defamation, so we'll just add it to the defamation playlist. Quarantining the healthy, forehead smack. Quarantining the healthy, the ones who need to be working to make money, to pay taxes, to support the healthcare system that's going to be needed to support and provide treatment to the sick. Yeah, makes sense. It should be illegal for you to choose whether you leave your house because you could harm me if I choose to leave my house. There's going to be issues. The whole issue about the quarantine thing, there's the legal side of it. The reality is nobody was challenging it. People, by and large, were doing it voluntarily, which is very nice, incidentally. I mean, there's the legal side and there's the human side. And it is nice to some extent when people can say, look, I could challenge this in the court of law and raise hell for everybody, but we can also just agree to do it to the extent that, it doesn't involve us losing everything we've ever had. And I'm a lawyer. I've had clients now. They're going to lose everything they have ever worked for in their life. I have friends and family who have businesses. They're done. They're done. I think I have a hope that they'll all come back because I'm still optimistic in all of this, but I don't want to share my optimism lest it be construed for promoting conspiracy theories as whatever. That joke is old now. But I have a feeling things are going to turn out better than the experts predict. Someone said, I just read an article in Bloomberg that said it's the end of the oil industry. Yeah. Media, conservative, alt-right, extreme, left, progressive. I like that. If there's a way to work that so the acronym can actually spell something. Right now it's MCAR. We can definitely MCARELF. There's a word in there. But thank you very much, Dapper Dave, and good to see you again. Jack Rudy. I know I've never seen your avatar before because I would remember that pumpkin. Look at that. If you carve that pumpkin, let me know. Hi. I know everyone is upset and a lot of people feel like it's a liberal agenda, especially with all of the Dem governors. But what about the doctors? Like Fauci, they suggested all of this first. If you open up the argument on the discussion on Fauci, there's going to be a lot of opinions. Some people think there's going to be the people who think it's a left-wing thing. There's going to be the people who think it's a globalist, New World Order thing. Not getting into that, but the experts, did we say the doctors? There's a problem when you make policy can be influenced by models, but when people come out and they did literally say, they equated them to weather predictions. You don't put 26 million people out of work. And cripple global economies based on weather predictions. It takes a little bit. It should take something a little more concrete than that, and it should take something a little more concrete than that to deprive people of their fundamental religious rights on which the United States was built. It should take more, arguably, than 0.2% mortality rate of a virus. Maybe, and maybe the courts are going to say that that's wrong. Maybe not. But the way that they're looking at Korematsu, the decision where they justified interning Japanese Americans because of the hypothetical risk that they posed, which they deemed to be sufficient at the time, 5-4 at the time, and unanimous repudiation now, I don't think there's going to be one hell of an evidentiary burden to be proven in a court of law to justify the prohibition on people exercising their freedom of religion and freedom of association and freedom to walk out of their house. Ozian says 26 million unemployed in the U.S. is going to harm the world. Costs unknowable. I side with liberty unless public necessity is clear and imminent. I tend to agree. You know what the problem is? First of all, nice avatar, Ocean. I can do it. Hold on a second. We're wearing the same color shirt. The problem is clear and imminent. Give those words to 10 lawyers. You're going to get 10 different interpretations. But I agree. It's just going to be the question is, what is clear and imminent? A lot of people look at this and call it clear and imminent. A lot of professionals, a lot of experts. Oh my God, let me crack my back. We've been going for an hour and a quarter. Sweet, merciful goodness. Did I get everybody? No, okay. I think holy cows. Tabarouette, UV injections. Okay, got that. I got El Rojo Grande. I didn't get this. I like Trump. I think Trump simply asked a dumb medical question as he is not a physician. I don't see why the media need to make a big deal of it. They need to make a big deal of it because they don't like him. There's not a question about that. I wouldn't even call it a dumb question. He's thinking out loud. He's trying to have a casual discussion under circumstances which are not casual. So he should know better. But you imagine, say something controversial. When you have a hostile media, they'll never let you live down something dumb that you said. When you have a forgiving media, they'll never even remind you of something dumb that you said. And I mean, there was a famous one where Obama had referred to Netanyahu as a pain in the ass. It disappeared into the ether. If Trump had referred to a leader of Israel as a pain in the ass, I don't need to tell you how the media would run with it. When you had Obama, it's just a question. It's not a question of what about. It's just a question of concretely what happens when you have a media that's on your side versus a media that is not. They will forgive you for everything. They won't even bring up your mistakes to amplify them to the point where people even know that you made the mistake. Versus what you have with Trump, where obviously it was not the sharpest thing to say, obviously. But to blow it into that media frenzy and to plant the seed of people doing it, whereas nobody would have even known that he had said it, but for the fact that it was so wildly exploited by the media. Yeah, I tend to agree, but it's the difference between having a hostile media versus a friendly media. Like, look at the friendly media in Canada and how long it takes for certain things to come to light, and they only come to light for other reasons. Okay, we got Bendover says, I live in Michigan, just outside of Detroit. Seeds were caution taped off along with nursery supplies. There may have been a store or two that did not have them restricted. Majority did. That's nuts. I assume that that's true. I'm going to take for granted that's true, Bendover. I don't know who you are on a personal level. I don't know if you're telling me the truth. I've read enough corroborating articles in mainstream outlets to not be able to deny this. Can you imagine having a government that says you're out of a job, you can't leave your house, people are having trouble finding food, and you can't buy seeds to grow vegetables? I mean, I assume that that's what we're talking about. You don't have to be crazy to start thinking that your government's not necessarily looking out for your best interest, or maybe start thinking even worse things than that. Nuts and incomprehensible. Sorry, that's it. It's incomprehensible. It's deliberate stupidity, and deliberate stupidity is not stupidity anymore. It's malice. It makes no sense. I like that, actually. There's no such thing as deliberate stupidity. It's just malice. I heard El Rojo Grande had something to say, but I don't trust Big J. Dubious Prime, thank you. I think we got to El Rojo Grande. Let's just see here, because we're falling well behind. Elia Wartgow says, I gave you the shout out on Matt C channel. You're my two favorite channels. I said the highest of praise I can give is that you are both sincerely honest. That is, thank you very much, by the way. And the only thing I ever want to be known as in this life is honest, because I don't mind if I'm right or wrong, just so long as nobody calls me dishonest. And you know what? People can call me dishonest just so long as I don't think that I'm dishonest. Just so long as I know that I was sincere and genuine and honest. Because there's nothing right or wrong is just a question of circumstance. Honest is a question of intention. Oh, I got to write that down. Hey Siri, take a note.
What do you want it to say?
Right or wrong is just a question of circumstance, period. Honesty is a question of intention. Write that down.
Okay.
Booyah.
I created a note.
Thank you.
Right or
No,
wrong?
it's okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Elijah, by the way. Yeah, that's there's nothing more important than honesty, which is why it creates a tremendous burden on the other hand, because you become neurotically afraid of making mistakes, because oftentimes people don't interpret a mistake as honesty. They interpret a mistake in the most dishonest sense, where it makes it very difficult, but it makes it's a tremendous amount of stress for me. As a lawyer, I never wanted the judge to think I was dishonest. And even more so now, because of how amplified things can get, I'm nervous about making a mistake, only because I don't want people thinking it was a deliberate concealment mistake. Brad King, if you take medical advice from anyone other than a trusted medical professional, that's called natural selection. Yeah, well, that's the argument. But even still, that would not be to condone saying reckless things that people are going to misinterpret. I just don't think anyone would have misinterpreted that in any reasonable sense, because there's two arguments here. Could it be misconstrued as, versus would anyone who, even if they misconstrued it as that, would they act on it? Those are two different questions. And even if you were to say that someone could misinterpret it that way, okay, so you misinterpret it that way, would any reasonable person, and even would any person, act on that misinterpretation? And I don't think most people would. Danny Chaos says, call a live stream, enjoy your Canadian sitcom-esque content. Thank you from Australia. What time is it in Australia? Oh, dude, yeah, it's tomorrow morning in Australia. Thank you very much, by the way. Danny Chaos. I know another Danny in Australia who has a channel. Danny Black. Where is Danny Black? Awesome channel as well. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's a travel channel. Although I don't know what he's doing now that nobody can travel, but maybe Australia is different. Jonathan Metallo says, your thoughts on trust. I'll just say my thoughts on Trudeau. His response to the pandemic has not been entirely bad. I think at some point, reality is going to require the government to stop writing checks and start getting people back to work. And I tweeted him as much. I think I don't like his demeanor. I don't like a lot of stuff. His response has not been horrible. And it's been, and I like the daily updates. I like his updates on Twitter. I like the updates on the situations, even if I don't like what I'm hearing necessarily. It's that being said, you can only cut so many checks before they get returned to sender. And when the checks get returned to the government, there's bigger problems there. So he's got to figure the stuff out, because it's nice to compensate everybody with $2,000 a month until this is over, to give $40,000 loans that are repayable in 2 years with $10,000 written off. It's another thing to get people back to work, because that stuff doesn't happen, and that doesn't go on indefinitely. Jeff Kibble says, how much government overreach is tolerable? At what point is a line drawn that we can't allow to be crossed? All questions I fear to ask and answer. The amazing thing is you can see the difference in the States versus Canada. Do I hear a kid upstairs? I think I hear a kid who's not in bed. Tabarouette. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what I do enjoy seeing or appreciate seeing is in the States, people don't put up with it for very long, but it's a massive population, bigger cities. In Canada, it's a totally different environment, but by and large, they're smaller cities, more sparsed out. People, in lockdown, we still get to bike around. We still get to go for walks and dog runs. We're not cooped up like chickens in a pen, chickens in a hen house, whatever. Like in New York, Chicago, Michigan, or Detroit, cities with massive populations. California is more sprawled out, but yeah, it's I don't know, but people are going to start protesting. They'll protest, and then where the poo-poo will hit the fan is if the government says your right to protest, your freedom of association is suspended indefinitely because of the pandemic. Then you might see problems if they don't get resolved by court first. Son of the Wolf says, them, how many people have to die before you'll give up your constitutional rights? Me? All of them. So it's Scott Adams had a question. It's like, if aliens came down and enslaved the entire human race to be, mere receptacles for procreation, how many people would you say have to die before you fight for your freedom? Viva Frei, I have to agree with Crowder's take. You don't listen to only a doctor in a pandemic. There is more going on than just the virus. I just, there's certain things where you realize you can't have the discussion publicly because I don't have the credentials, so there's no point in doing it. But that's not to say there's not room for people to have it. I mean, the world needs people like the Crowders and people who are not as held back to have the conversations as others. But the world needs all different types of people. How do I feel about Trudeau is doing with the coronavirus? Hey, the numbers in Canada don't they might have been what they are now if we had not done anything. This is what you'll never know. Trudeau is lucky in that the numbers are going to confirm whatever was done. Trump is unlucky in that the numbers in the states are probably not going to support whatever was done. Even though, incidentally, just for anybody who's interested, we acted slower than the states. We closed down the borders after the states. We still had international flights coming in from overseas. You know, we reacted slower and probably worse, but we're better off. So, you know, it's judging by the results and not by the actions, which is not necessarily the right way to do things, but it's the way things are done nonetheless. Alex 505, I wouldn't want Trump's or the governor's job at this point. Tough decisions, no correct decision, armchair QBs everywhere. No question. But it's no different now than it is ever. Like, you become prime minister, you become president, you become a governor, a politician. No matter what you do, 50% of people are going to criticize you. And even more sometimes, you know, you might have everybody piles on the decisions. Like AOC voted against the stimulus package. Now she's getting, you know, it's not even the Republicans that hate her now. Now it's the left on this particular decision. It's a stressful life as a politician, which is why it's not for everybody. Did I just see what I think I saw here? Hold on. I'm coming to this. Tabarnouche. I missed some. If buying food is considered essential, how is earning money for that food not? It's no question. There's no question about it. Ozian says Trump's brainstorming is appropriate for a boardroom where laymen often force the experts to think outside the box. Not appropriate for a press conference. I don't think you're going to get many people to disagree with that. The only question is, okay, does that justify the media frenzy, which causes more panic than the comments could have ever caused? I mean, but I mean, I tend to agree with you. It is not the place for unscripted discussion. We can agree on that. Let's see. We got Cosmic Grandpa says Pennsylvania has set up a statewide snitch site for COVID violations. What are your thoughts on the state pitting neighbor against neighbor? Go to my Twitter account. CBC just ran an article called the pleasures and pitfalls of snitching on your neighbors in a pandemic. I said, this is enough. I was never a defund the CBC guy. They've convinced me throughout all this. Unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And it's I don't need to draw analogies, historical analogies. It's unacceptable. YouTube vid brought up an interesting point. In order the small business to remain open, they must reduce their fixed cost, eventually lower minimum wage. Yeah, or lower rent, percentage rent. They have to lower their costs. There's no question, because even if they open up tomorrow, people are not going to show up. So there's going to have to be a way to minimize their costs, because the revenue is going to go down even if they open up tomorrow. And it's like you can hire half your staff back or whatever. Like, there's no question. There's things that everybody's going to have to do to mitigate this, but mitigate the consequences of what might have been an overreaction in the first place. Media's disinfected narrative is denying people who have rejected education and logic their hard-earned Darwin Awards. So Amazing Lucas had that take also. I don't agree with the Darwin Awards thing. If people are gullible enough to fall for certain things, it doesn't mean that they should be I don't want to say coaxed or even misled. They should not. They should be protected from their own Darwinism. I tend to agree with that. I mean, we're not talking about, we're not talking about fish or alligators. We're talking about humans, and humans that are susceptible to Darwinism in the cynical way. They do need the protection nonetheless, and they should not. They do need the protection, but that doesn't mean making an issue of a non-issue like they did with that comment. I think this is Emperor Charlemagne says, I think the politicians are doing what they can to protect their constituents, but it's exposing who believes in fascism and who doesn't. I just think there are ways to protect that did not need to go to this extreme, but the problem was you get this momentum. And like my analogy from a previous stream, like that science experiment where you start with a little domino and it pushes something bigger over, and then by the end of it, you have your little domino is pushing over a whole door. And just because of the momentum that carries from the small domino to the bigger domino, that's what we had with the global response. It was just panic on panic and panic. Now, this is what I saw. Hello, bro 3.0. Hello, neighbor. I'm from Washington State. Dude, we're as far away as we can get, I think. Here to give you some support for more toilet paper. Do you think you'll make a video about where the federal government should step in over state government? And how do you decide which has the power in those situations? I'm going to screenshot this actually, because this is a discussion I want to have with Robert Barnes, because it is, first of all, I mean, thank you very much for the super chat, and thank everybody. It's not a question of the amount that I try to thank. I thank you all, because Oh, that what was her name? The Twitcher who just got into trouble for berating people for not supporting the channel. I have the exact opposite problem. I actually feel guilty when people support the channel because I don't know. I have guilt, but thank you all. And it's not a question of the amount. It's just a question of supporting the channel and letting me do this for as long as I think I can do it. I want to have this discussion with Robert Barnes because I don't really understand the separations. I mean, I think I understand the separations of power in the states by analogy to what I understand the separations of power state to federal, province to federal in Canada. But yeah, like I don't know what the exact dynamic is, and I don't know where the interplay is, and at what point states can play politics with this issue. And I don't even want to think about it, but at some point, it becomes a national interest, and I genuinely don't know. This is a question for Robert Barnes, or this is a question for Uncivil Law or Nate Brody, if you guys are watching. It's beyond. It's not something I have the knowledge of. I know what my impression is, but I just don't know how the separation of power works in the states in terms of opening up the economy, in terms of testing, in terms of medical supplies. Because I know what I think I know, which is that they're state run and they can apply to the they have federal support, but by and large these are state decisions. But I don't know. That's going to be the question as to which states are going to start pushing back to open up, which ones are going to be reluctant, and what happens if some states, hold out a little longer than they should. Malaki O'Leary, thank you very much. Super sticker. I don't know what the super sticker is concretely. I know I see it come up, but thank you very much. Viva, this is Uncivil Law. I would like it to be noted for the record, I texted Viva on his cell to alert him about $100 super chat if he paid attention. Oh, here we go. I see it. Okay, thank you, Sue. I got to it, Kurt. But thank you. That one is that one I can see now. There's a hierarchy in the super chats where I can still see them. I just can't bring them up. See, Israel Shirk says, "You appear disrobed equally, and we enjoy #censor." You see, Israel Shirk. I don't know where that super chat is, but we'll see if I can find it. No, so I got to it. Uncivil. Thank you very much. By the way, I should have my phone probably face up. It might make things a lot more efficient. CBC has overstepped. Canadians now really hate them. Once Trudeau is out, we're all going to demand the CBC get off the table. They had an article snitching. The pleasures of snitching on your neighbor. And it's not a question of like, don't talk to the police or snitches get stitches. They were literally talking about calling 311 if you saw people violating social distancing guidelines. That is not public safety. That is. I don't use the fascism word often. That is obscene. I'm not even using it right now. Obscene. And they and then they wrote another article about why a mother why I'm going to give my daughter alcohol and weed. I mean, it is almost like it's like the Hollywood of Canada. Like they're like trying to poison what would otherwise be basic morality under the guise of news. Sorry, I should have said that. I know people who work for the CBC. They're good people. Any vid on NYSPRA versus New York City? I'm going to just take a screenshot here because I don't know what that is. New York. I can't even guess the acronym. Yeah, no. The Virginia, by the way. We're in. Let me see here. Hold on. It was Bra 3.0. I'm East Coast Canada. Like we are. I've never been to Washington State. I've seen it from Vancouver, and I want to go. Is it Mount? I would say Mount Olympus. There's a mountain in Washington State that we could see from Vancouver, and it looked freaking amazing. And I want to go see it one day. Hopefully, we can get on planes sometime soon. Okay, what time is it? 11:15. Okay, we'll go over another. Oh my God, it's been an hour and a half. Let me see. Michael. We got coincidence. The finance minister is Bill Moore now. Definitely a coincidence. Michael Amundsen says, I think Kennedy's enforcement of Southern desegregation would be a good example of federal overstate powers, but I'm likely misinformed. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it with Barnes or with Uncivil or with Nate. They definitely, they know more than me. I think I could probably get the good questions out, but I couldn't get the good answers. Bruh says, hello, Uncivil Law. I'm getting Instagram messages, but that's something else. So what else? Fire makes me king. NYSP refers to the SCOTUS versus New York City. New York. Okay, I can't think of it right now. What else? Real Bambuga says, so basically, everybody dial 311 and leave the phone off the hook. So where was it in the States that you got that there was something like that in New York where they had like a snitching hotline and people were like texting in obscene stuff and overloading it with crap? I think everybody, I don't know who takes the CBC seriously, but it's just incomprehensible and unconscionable that you could actually have snitching, the pleasures of snitching on your neighbors and how necessary it is. Because it's so, it's like it's contagion in Canada now. If you see somebody walking on the street, but whatever, you do enough good, discredit yourselves and see what, see what happens afterwards. It's, Elijah Wardgow says, I tried to buy hamburger meat today, but it's sold out everywhere in Illinois. When does this end if you cannot get basic food? No, that's the other issue is some of the meatpacking plants closing down because of because of diagnoses. The issue is at some point, if you find out that, especially from New York and California, showing that a substantial portion of the population has already had it and going back, even as early as January, if not earlier, it's going to change the way you interpret these stats that are causing. There was an IGA in Quebec City, Lévis, that closed down because 19 people tested positive. Closed down. If it turns out that, the vast majority of the population has already been exposed to this illness for months before, these numbers become less shocking. And then then it's just a question of, okay, shut down grocery stores. What's going to be the bigger risk at the end of the day with all of this? But okay. Where was I here? I tried to buy hamburger meat. That was the one we just got. We got New York was de Blasio. Okay. Okay. So we got New York. Kutka says New York Rifle Association versus New York State SCOTUS case. I'm going to look into them. It sounds like good vlogging material. Screenshot that. Thank you very much, by the way, Kitka. JDFRDBM says truth. New York State says 57,000 hospitalized for 8 days straight. 57,103 hospitalized. Got questions. I mean, I got questions not in terms of undermining the stats. It's just like understanding the stat. Hospitalized for what in New York State as a whole? What would hospitalization rates be over those 8 days? Last year over this year. Lots of questions that we're not getting answers to, which is kind of a bit of the problem as well. What day is it today? Is it Monday? It's Monday. Okay. What else we got? Let me see if I can get some questions that are the super chat questions. Let's see here. We got, how many humans can one eat without turning into... This is the first... I do not condone or approve that message at the risk of... I did not read it before I brought it up. Oh, Mount Baker that's visible from Vancouver. That is it. I want to climb it one day. I want to climb it. I want to climb Mount Baker. I want to climb Mount Katahdin. Katahdin is the one I have to do, but now that I have kids, apparently it's like I can't walk the razor on Mount Katahdin anymore, and I can't do it in underwear for a dare. Mount Baker. So yeah, that's the one. Okay, what do we say here? Well, let's see. Steve. Oh, Crowder did a great video explaining the death rate from the contagion. Yeah, one of my problems is I don't get to watch as much content as I would normally like to. I haven't watched PewDiePie in a year, and I feel like I'm cheating on him. Except he never knew I existed, so I guess I'm not cheating on him. Stores are limiting the number of shoppers so you can stand in line for 30 minutes just to find bare shelves. So in Canada, we have a similar thing. We have a lot of grocery stores. We have a much less densely populated city, and you wait, maybe 10, 15 minutes because you go 2 by 2 and they let like 4 to 10 in the store. If you go in the morning, there's no problem. Shelves are not bare by any means. But one thing, it's not sustainable. The experts saying we might have to look at this for 2 years. No, it's... Okay, I mean, you're an expert. Probably another one that's going to be wrong because nobody can live like this for 2 years and society can't sustain this for 2 years. Barring all-out nationalization of all essential services and food production, but historically that hasn't worked out that well. So that's it. Uncivil Law, was that the lawsuit you were covering when Viva went live? Oh gosh. Uncivil, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I did not know you were live when I went live. I just went live because I was walking the dog. The kids I thought had fallen asleep, and it was a 15-minute notice, and I don't look. I should. I should. This is how people make enemies with friends. But I know my friends would give me the benefit of the doubt and know that I had no idea that... Okay, we got that. We got that. Truth. Mount Baker. We got Mount Baker. If you have a service dog and you go to a grocery store, do you need to put a mask on the dog? Good luck. You know what? If you have a French bulldog, it'll be easier. Ow! I just kicked my foot. A shepherd might not be quite so easy. Okay, and now I'm thinking we're going to do this 6 minutes. We're going to end this soon because I think I hear footsteps of a child that is not sleeping. Kronos. It's funny. My kid was wearing pajamas that had Saturn, and it was exactly. I'm going to screenshot this, and I'm going to show you a picture of these pajamas that my kid has that have the. And every time I see them now, I think of your avatar. We got an expert in the house. Here's my math. Baby boom began in 1944. The average lifespan 76 years. 2020, 76 years. Coincidence. Oh, that was. I mean, in Italy, the average age of the fatalities were 78 years old, and the average lifespan was 81. You made an enemy this day, Viva. Let me see. Where is he? Did I see Uncivil? I saw Uncivil's avatar when I was scrolling down. Let me see. I'll find it again. Maybe I won't. Oh, there it is right there. Anyways, Uncivil, I did not know you went live, and I apologize. Okay, we got Dr. Lou says, please, all in U.S. boycott DJI drones, China spies. Oh, I read about that also. I've got the DJI drone. I haven't flown it. Not out of boycott to DJI or China. I don't want to be the guy that crashes the drone and puts somebody in a hospital who then goes to the hospital and gets COVID, and then I get blamed for murder because I crashed a drone at somebody who then subsequently died. I don't want a guy that makes it into the paper for that. I had my small drone, which broke when it fell off the freaking table when I was editing a video. Did you let your kids shave? No, I did it. I had a little clipper, but the green clipper section was one they used to shave my hair. It's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be on my face. There is a blood debt that must be paid from Uncivil. I love Crowder exactly because he's a mean-spirited as the late night lefties. Yeah, but that's the world needs everybody. I hear somebody upstairs who's not in bed. Okay, guys, we might have to call this. Let's see here. We got. Thanks, Viva. Keep explaining this stuff. My pleasure. I'm going to do it as long as I can, as long as I have something to add to society. Thanks for streaming, Fry. Appreciate it. Subdue Light. Nice to see you. Kronos. Very nice. Is that the real chunk yogurt? I may have stepped into a conversation that I had no business being involved in. Senk Uyghur says, no. Senk? Is it really you? What is your opinion on the late Justice Scalia's originalist approach, DC versus Heller, Second Amendment? Not enough to give an opinion. I know my ignorant level of it, which is like the Wikipedia level understanding, but not enough to give an opinion. Although, first of all, and thank you very much for the super chat. Are you the real Senk Uyghur? I wonder if you would possibly have that avatar and name taken away if you were not the real Senk. Anyways, if you are the real Senk from the Young Turks, welcome to the Viva Frei. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so we're going to wind it up. We'll wind it down. It's an hour and 42 minutes. 3 more minutes so I can end it at 1 hour and 45 minutes on the nose. So 2 minutes, 15 seconds. We're going to do it. I want to bring up some comments here. We got Go Tigger, the kid was appreciative. I don't know why a kid is up. It's 11:23 at night. Kids should not be up. And she was asleep. But like anybody who doesn't have kids, or if you have kids, you know, like there's that moment if you like get out of the bed and you wake them up, then you like snap them out of that lull and they can never go back to bed. So you have to give that extra 5 minutes to make sure that they are in a deep sleep before you disrupt them and to get out of the bed. Let's see what we got here. We got Sinjin says, I voted for Trump, and if you want to critique him for his policies, it's fine. That's typically like the adult way of criticizing him. His policies are fine. His policies are good or bad. His demeanor is what it is. Some people think like, yeah, he doesn't think before he talks. He talks off the cuff. He says things that he was elected president. These are not justifications at this point to demonize him to the point of misrepresentation or to attempt to undo the presidency. It's like he was elected. That's what people wanted. If people don't like that in 2020, elect someone else. If they like it again, live with it. You don't necessarily have to like the person you elect, or you don't have to like the person that gets elected. Viva, your house is haunted. Face it. Oh God, if it wasn't before, whoever buys our house after, when they open up the floors, they're gonna wonder why it is all stained with urine between the first floor and the basement. Human urine. No, I'm joking. Dog urine. Yeah, I have the same issues with my youngest. It's a crazy thing. Like you have to give 5 minutes more than you think you need so that they don't wake up when you get out of bed. If it is Senk, he would be running away from any Ben Shapiro avatar. We got ROFL. Okay, 35 seconds, people. Can we do it? Can we do it? I'm going to warm my hands up. I want to end this. The last time I was 7 seconds over. The previous time I was 2 seconds under. So I'm going to go to 1:45:02. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, for the support, for the comments. If I didn't get to them, I do apologize. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to do this again soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, exercise, sunlight, vitamin D, vitamin C, and make sure your neighbors are doing fine. Peace out. End broadcast now.